Techland has just launched the Bloody Ties DLC for Dying Light 2. It's time to put on your shoes and run, jump, and kick those infected and humans to the dirt as you climb the ranks of Carnage Hall. This DLC is fun, content-filled experience that I highly recommend you check out. Let's go. Be sure to check out my other Dying Light content. I've got plenty of content on the game from back at launch, and I'll be continuing to cover this game as they release more DLCs. So what is this DLC? This is the first story DLC and big expansion that Dying Light 2 has done, minus the other few updates that they have been tinkering with over the time. Now this adds a new location, which is Carnage Hall, the epicenter of splendor, death, and fame, the barbarity, fortune, and bloodshed, the place where the greatest fighters battle for glory. It also adds a new narrative, which is centered around these fighters and some of the characters involved in that kind of circle. And it also adds a new Night Runner tool, the Carnage Manica, which you get at the very end of the expansion's main storyline.
I am Astrid. This is the new arena. And you're all here to fight.
Now, the main center or the focus for this entire DLC is around Carnage Hall. What this is a new playable area that is revolved around an arena mechanic where you'll be climbing the ranks and earning tokens and points to not only get rewards, but unlock harder challenges for you to try. There are 4 different standard matches for the arenas. There is the Spectacle, which is probably the longest one and most involved as you do different objectives. There's Rush, which is basically a parkour challenge. There is the Freak Fight, which is just fighting a freak one-on-one, and Carnage, which will have you defeat the marked enemies within a certain amount of time while trying to avoid the other enemies in the match. These will get progressively harder and more challenging just in general as you progress up the ranks and climb your way to the top. When you do complete one of these challenges, you'll also be able to replay them to earn like gold stars as you would with normal like combat and parkour challenges in Dying Light to earn more of these opera tokens. You can use these tokens as well as your rank to go to the reward station to unlock weapons and armor, outfit, cosmetics, as well as other upgrades as well, and mods that you can pick up from this vendor. Now, this entire space outside of doing the arenas is relatively small. However, Techland have done a really smart job of intelligently designing this tiny area. So you've got the main hall and then the surrounding, I guess, circle around it, and you'll have some side quests and different things that will require you to go outside of the hall and go and investigate things like the metro station and other things in the environment, which is really well put together as it's a small space, but it doesn't feel small as you're exploring that area. You'll probably return to some of these locations a couple of times throughout the main story and the side quests, but I never felt like this was just like one area, as it does keep mixing it up with what you're doing, and especially when you go into those arena matches, you do get some flexibility in terms of the environments that you're facing there, whether you're doing like a Haran version or even like the castle variants as you climb the ranks. There are different themes to these different designs, and I really liked the way that was put together and the complexity and the differences in these challenges. It's not just one standard challenge that you're constantly doing. There are 4 different types and then variants on those types, which get progressively harder, and you can replay those to increase your rewards that you do get, which I really quite liked. I will have a guide coming out about Carnage Hall and everything you need to know about ranking up and what to spend those points on and everything. So if you want to know when that goes live, be sure to subscribe and click that bell. Those are located right next to the like.
First time seeing you around here. Who sent you?
Easy, Roy, easy. Aiden here's my boy. Wait, how do you know my name? I know my city, and who comes in. I'm Chiro.
Let's talk about the story here. Now, a common complaint with the base game of Dying Light 2, and something that I also had a complaint with as well, is that the main narrative fell a little flat and didn't have as much impact as I was expecting, especially that last boss fight as well. Here, Techland have really taken that to heart, I think, and made a really cohesive and interesting story that doesn't stick around too long, though you can do some side quests and explore to expand out the narrative time, but ultimately it is a very tight, cohesive narrative that tells about the champions and ex-champions of Carnage Hall, and I really quite liked it. You are directly introduced to the main key players like right off the bat. You're introduced to Zero and his life and what's happening with Carnage Hall, and then it immediately thrusts you into the tryouts and then into Carnage Hall as you progress the ranks and find out what's happening with Zero, his father, and the other key players at Carnage Hall. I really liked this narrative, and it did have a good impact at the end, which was a bit of a twist that I won't spoil here that I actually quite liked and felt was missing from the base game in Dying Light 2. I wasn't really keen on the story there, especially how it ended. There was a twist there, but the twist here and just the way the narrative plays out, I'm trying to avoid spoilers as much as I can, but it's quite good, and I really think that Dying Light fans will enjoy it. There is also a lot of side quests in the Carnage Hall area. Some of these are kind of linked to the main narrative, so it is worth doing some of these before you complete the main quest. However, some of them will send you back to Old Villador or just exploring around the Carnage Hall area to get various weapons and upgrades, different challenges and other things that you can complete as well. I enjoyed doing these as well as the main quest, and it helps break up the flow of having to just constantly go into the arena and try and climb the ranks to finish the main story. Each time you complete one of the main objectives, you're presented with like a new side quest or a new different thing that you can go and do in the meantime if you don't want to just go straight back into the arena and take on that next challenge, which you can absolutely do if you do choose to do so. There is also some choices and consequences based on the story progression that you do. I haven't completed it via doing others' decisions, but it seems like they will impact the final outcome. How drastically it does or doesn't, I'm not sure, as I've only completed it the one way. However, it does seem like those choices you make will have some kind of an impact on that big final epic climax at the very end, which is something that I love to see in RPGs, and that was one of the things I did like about the base game with Dying Light 2. In terms of replayability, and the general content here is really solid. There is a lot of content to mess around with just in the main quest and side quest, but then also in Carnage Hall as you climb the ranks, and then even once you finish that narrative, you can keep going to Carnage Hall and completing the different challenges that you haven't completed, as I didn't complete all of them just to do the main story. So you've got extra ones that you can do in the arena, as well as the different challenge variants that you can do from the Carnage Hall posters, so you can unlock different upgrades when you go to the reward station. So if you want to grind out better weapons and gear, or you're just looking for more content in Dying Light, then this is really valuable to have, as it gives you that replayable system that you can do for a extended period of time.
The crowd loves you. And I was thinking it's time for a new champion.
My overall verdict for this DLC is I think it is an absolute buy. This adds a ton of replayable content to Dying Light 2, which is something that Techland have always been really strong at doing for Dying Light 1 and have continued to do since Dying Light 2 launched. And this is the first of their story DLCs that they are making for Dying Light 2. And with the quality that is here, I'm very interested to see what happens with these other story DLCs as they continue to expand on Dying Light 2 over the years to come. There's plenty of content here to enjoy with the new location at Carnage Hall. If you are like me and haven't played Dying Light 2 since the launch, this is absolutely a reason to jump back into the game and play this new expansion, as well as try some of the other new content and the bounties that they have added. There is a lot to like here, from the narrative, the combat, the parkour. All of the great things about Dying Light are really shining through here as you're forced into these arena encounters to test out your parkour and combat skills. There's a lot to love with this new expansion. And I'm very interested to see what Techland does next with Dying Light 2. There's plenty to stay tuned for with this game as they continue to update it over time, but as mentioned, it does seem like the future is bright for Dying Light 2 with the quality that we're going to get here, and hopefully this will continue in the future story DLCs that we will get. If you have any questions about the DLC or Dying Light 2 in general, please put them in the comments down below and I'll get back to you. Also, check out my previous Dying Light 2 content from back at launch. I've got plenty of tips and guides and things out there that if you're looking to get into this game or just need a refresher, which I absolutely did. I really struggled with the combat when I first booted up the game. It had been so long, but we eventually got there, so go and check those out as well. It's a busy week right now with the Still Rising DLC, the Dying Light 2 DLC, and God of War, so I've got plenty of content on the channel if you're looking for other things as well, so go check those out. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is NorZZa, and I hope you have a great day.